So this is going to be a longer video. I am going to touch on everything since January to where I'm at now, and I'm also going to be doing a makeup video with it. So with that being said, let's, jump right into business. Well, before we jump right into business, let me also say, if you have went through similar situations, like I have mental health wise, some things could be potentially triggering. So obviously if I start going into detail about something, or my experience, and you start feeling like you can't handle it, please stop watching. It is not my intentions to make you feel that way. Okay, so let's do this. I'm not gonna be able to cover that bad boy up for sure, ski. Okay, so I always moisturize my face first. This is your Hollywood Glam Glow hydrating, treatment. This is Thirsty Mud, because I'll be thirsty. Just kidding. No, I don't. My face just be thirsty when I'm having like anxiety, and especially when like the seasons are changing like they are now. Yeah, my face gets like super dry, and I'm like just having a whole anxiety moment, so my face is just gross. I think in my last video I had talked about I was going to see my psychiatrist, and so that happened, and I mentioned that I thought we were going to go up on my mood stabilizer, and that we were going to take away one of my medications. So we kept my mood stabilizer the same, and we actually took away my Wellbutrin, which was my antidepressant that I took in the morning. So it's been a week since I have been off of it, and I can honestly say not doing the hottest on it. I wanted to complete this video before the end of the month, before obviously September, because it's suicide prevention month. So I wanted to get this out, and today I did not want to do it. I am in a funky mood. I know I'm coming off like I'm not, but trust me, I was not excited to do this at all. I have a different feeling now, but I've just been in a whole funky mood. I have been taking naps on my lunch break because I'm just not feeling it. So that's just where I'm at right now. And even on these days that you feel like you need to take naps, or you just like don't want to do anything, and you just want to sit there and like stomp your feet and like throw a fit on, like, what am I doing? Like, why am I having to do things? Yeah, that's me. That's what I've been going through, and it's okay to feel like that. I have been feeling like it for a while, so I'm ready to jump out of this here rut I'm in. Okay, so I also use the Olay Eyes, which is the deep hydrating gel. Okay, you can't read it even if you wanted to. So I use this morning and night. I really enjoy how it makes my face feel, or like my under eyes feel. It's also great in the morning time, especially like if I wake up and I'm just like blue and my eyes look like puffy and droopy. Sometimes you just be waking up like that. Also too, when I'm moisturizing, I let this sit for till it like soaks into my skin. You obviously don't want to put your primer on top of all this when it's still wet. You want your skin to absorb it. So let's see, I guess we'll start off. So January, I actually did the whole New Year, New Me. I took that to a serious level. What got me to that point? What put me there? So, it's Christmas Day. I did not want to go see our families whatsoever. I cried all day long. I slept. I just knew I was depressed. And so I knew something had to give. And so, December is the end of the month, and I literally started therapy the first week of January. So that was a small time frame that I decided, hey, let's get my life together. So I actually looked on the back of my insurance card, saw, just went ahead and called them and asked them to send me a list of, stuff that was within my network. So they did. I called the first place, and it was a terrible experience. They did not, basically they denied me because I had private insurance. So to me, I was like, okay. I didn't know that was a thing. Hey, can we not do this tonight, please? That'll be great. So then I called the second person, which is actually the lady that I have been seeing this whole time. She was great. She didn't answer when I called. So I had to leave her a voicemail, and I'm pretty sure my voicemail sounded like this. Hello, my name is Morgan Boone, and I know I need to go to therapy, and I know if I don't make this call right now and leave you a voicemail, and if you don't call me back, today or tomorrow, I'm probably not gonna go through with this. So if you could just call me back. Okay, so literally that's kind of the extent of it. I was real with her, hey, I'm going through a moment where I'm like, let's take care of myself. But, she had a tiny window to call me back. And honestly, if she wouldn't have called me back within that time frame, I don't think I would have started as soon as I did. And, sometimes you just have to be honest. You just really do have to be honest, especially when you're reaching out for help. Those moments where you feel like, I want to get my life together, I want to do this, you are the one that controls that. So, I took that leap of faith, and I took that happy moment of, I really wanted to get my life together. I wanted to become a better person, and I acted on that thought. I acted on wanting to be better, and I started therapy the first week of January. Okay. So this is one of my favorite primers right now. No, I've been using this for a long time. It's called No Problem. Funny. And I got it actually in BoxyCharm. So if you haven't done BoxyCharm and you want to try different makeup products, but you don't want to spend a lot of money, I highly recommend doing BoxyCharm. You can actually tell them what you want, you don't want. And here's the fun thing that I like to do. If you get a dupe of a product, or if you try something that you don't like, or if you get a shade of a lip that you're like, not my color, guess what you can do? You can regift that for Christmas, and it's like, killing two birds with one stone. I think it's $25 a month, and you get 5 free full products. No, I'm not trying to advertise them to you, but a lot of you ask me, how did I get so much stuff? How did I try all these products? BoxyCharm. I mean, that's what it is. I would have not tried as many different products and different things if I did not sign up for that. So this one is more of a, I don't know how to explain it. It's not like a cream. It's more of I don't know how to do this. Boop, boop, more liquidy. Okay, I think I just missed so much. I do not use brushes for my moisturizer or my primer. So I know some people are probably like, the oil's from your hands. So I'm like, okay, well, my whole face is oily. I washed my hands before I did this, so it shouldn't be an issue. But hey, to each his own. Your preference is your preference. If you use a brush, if you use whatever you use, that's okay. Now, if I was doing somebody else's makeup, now would I take my little hands and put them all over their face? No, I would not do that. For one, I just don't feel like that'd be, I don't know. Okay, so you're gonna let that sit until your face looks kind of tacky, kind of sticky. It's not there yet. So, my first day in therapy, my first session, she didn't really have to say too much, and I really didn't say, too much. I skimmed the surface on my past, my life history, growing up, what I was feeling right then and there. It wasn't a lot of communication, and I bawled my eyes out. So that's how the first one went. It was Hi, my name's Morgan. Okay, literally, so I would say probably for the first month that I was with her, remember I saw her, you know, once a week, you know, for the first month of that experience, I bawled my eyes out, and it was like, I am learning to trust this lady. Like, you know, I think that's the scariest thing when people like want to go to therapy, or they ask me like, what was my experience in therapy? Well, it is awkward, and you do have to obviously meet her, and you know, the first couple sessions, you know, you are gaining the trust. You're gaining her trust, because obviously you're about to tell this woman, I prefer a woman, you could prefer a man, I prefer women. I'm not like anti-man, but I just prefer a woman in this situation. So, you know, I had to mesh with her, I had to vibe with her. So funny story is I actually tried therapy back when I was like 18. I had like a couple sessions with her, and obviously I don't know if you've ever been to therapy, but it's kind of like you'd see on the movies, like they do have like a file in their hand, so it's like my name was all over this file. So it was like the third or fourth session, she called me Amy. The file was in front of her, so I said deuces, and then I had been skeptical to try therapy again. Obviously 18, I'm 25 now, so it's took me, you know, that many years to decide, let's try this again. I just ate, so I had to pop these out, but I'm going to pop them in. Today is Monday, so I did go up a tray size, so I apologize for the wincing, but this hurts right now. Okay. Yeah, so the more I went to her, the more it was easy to open up. It was easier to actually be real about like what I was feeling. And it's not like I wasn't being real with her, but you know, basically how we described it, or how she described it to me, was like, here's the iceberg. So what you do is you're going to chip away the top of the iceberg. And that's what you do in your first couple of sessions. And then once you feel comfortable that you've chipped all this away, well, now it's time to go under the water, and we're going to start chipping at like what you can't see. That was where I was scared, but hey, you know, we did it. I guess let me tell you what's going on. So I just used like a standard spoolie brush. So I'm pretty sure this is like from Walmart. And obviously just kind of brushing it up so they're like not your hair's all clumpy. Obviously I just put a lot of product on my face and I rubbed it in my eyebrows. This is called the Brow Girl, and I'm using the shade Light Hair 03. It is basically like a spoolie as well, but it's got like a tint of color into it. So, I mean, pretty light. So it's not going to do anything crazy. I like to just use it in the lighter shade to go back over what I do with the spoolie brush. I feel like it's minimal amount of product, but it also kind of just sets the tone for how I want these bad girls to look. And I'm like praying my actual the thing I use for my eyebrow. Yeah, no, okay. I don't actually think what I use on my eyebrows is with me. So that's pretty cool. That dampens the whole situation. For me, not you. I do not like pomades. Don't. Me, that's a me thing. That's not a you thing. If you like them and you can use them, kudos to you. But it's not for mama. They are not for me. Let's see. Wow, that was a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. No, I don't know what I did with it. And I'm not even going to pretend to, like, use something else. So this is how my eyebrows are going to be. So I guess we are going to do a light look today, which is totally fine with me, to be completely honest. So back where was I at? Okay, so going to therapy, been going to therapy, bada boom, bada bank. She had been tracking my moods, and she was like, I think you might be bipolar. And I was like, hey, that actually makes a lot of sense, but I'm not trying to just like live and like ride that like you think I am kind of diagnosis, which I thought I was in the past for sure, but this was the first time that I had like a medical professional be like, oh yeah, I'm like agreeing with you. Like I jumped around from like PCP doctors from like when I was like 18 up until now, because I would go for them for anxiety or in like my depression peaks, they would prescribe me medication and then I'd have anxiety to go back to them. So I just like I doctor hopped for a while. Don't do that. And I didn't know that, but I would take like a month at a time of like a medication, then I would just stop because I'd be too nervous to like go back and tell them it didn't work. Or so I was reintroducing medicine, then stopping it. Oh yeah, I was it was not a great time of my life, I can tell you that. So she had mentioned that, you know, she thinks I'm bipolar, and it is COVID time. Let's put that in perspective. It is COVID time, so me getting in to see a psychiatrist was like slim to none and like months and months down the road. So she was like, well, let's go to your PCP and let's get her secondary opinion. So shared notes, me and my PCP talked. She then second my therapist's opinion of me having bipolar. It is also like, it was just known that I have anxiety and depression. Like that's just a given. Like, so my primary care physician, she started to take over my medication. And she let me know that she could not actually specialize in the right medication for me, and she was only going to help me do it until I found a psychiatrist. And that's what we did. So everything I felt like it was going great for me. You know, it was like May. Yeah, I think it was like May when all this happened. So I went from January to May, you know, self-growing, self-positivity, like boom, 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 we got this, we're gonna be so Gucci. And then medication got involved. The medication wasn't necessarily correct. And I'm not like blaming that on her. I'm not blaming it on me, but that is part of this journey when medication is involved. And I know I touched on that in my last video. But yeah, so they got me a meeting with a psychiatrist. It took months, so it was June or early July. It was June or early July that I finally gotten to see a psychiatrist. Now let me go into this because this is an interesting story. This is probably going to be too dark for my face. I'm a pale girl right now. Okay, but we're going to use it anyway. So I'm using, oh yeah, she's dirty. Like, sorry. So Dior Forever, thank you, Mackenzie Scott, for turning me on to this. I know that's not your last name anymore, but that's how I will always remember you. So she turned me on to this actually at my wedding, and I've just continued to use it, and I got the same shade, and I've just loved it. So I use it in 035. It's a 24-hour wear. And it has sunscreen in it, and I am still obsessed with it, and I think this will be like my forever foundation unless my face says no. So this is actually a foundation brush. Maybe I should go into that too. So foundation brush, I think it's like Real Technology or like Real something, I don't know. I got it at Sephora. No, Ulta. I got it at Ulta on Black Friday because it was like running a cool sale. Like, buy this and you'll get this free. And I was like, oh shit, well, let's get this for free. Okay. So my primary care physician was trying to help me. She obviously wanted me to go to a psychiatrist so she can like help me get my medication. So it was the day that I went to go see my psychiatrist. Worst experience in the whole entire world. So one, I did not, okay, so I don't even know how to like explain this without like bad mouthing like this lady. I'm not going to say her name, and I'm actually not going to say, like, yeah, I'm just not going to say anything because I just, you know, I just don't want to like bash anybody on that, like, because you could have a completely different experience, and this is why I'm like trying to tell you my experience. So if you have a similar one, like, it's okay. So when you go see your psychiatrist, it's basically like a therapy session as well, because obviously they need to get to know you. Perfect, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I've already told my life and all my trauma to my primary care physician and my therapist, so now I have to tell a third person. So at this point, you know, I'm kind of just like, blah, 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 here it is. Long story short, this is what's going on. This is, you know, here's my life in a nutshell. And so I was sitting there and she was asking me like certain questions, and I was like, well, I don't view that as like a trauma because like it made me stronger. And she was like, no, what you're doing is you're making an excuse for what happened and you're not feeling. And I was like, it's like, pretty sure I felt it when that happened. And yeah, I know I've been like suppressing a lot of things, but like, I just don't think like just don't feel like I am what you say you are. I am. So she asked me like a bunch of questions, and we continued to like chit chat, and she basically told me that she was worried about me, and she wanted to just go ahead and throw me in a mental hospital that day. Excuse me. What? You want to go ahead? So she met me once. She met me once, heard my life story once, and said I needed to already be in a mental hospital. So that was probably like the worst experience ever. So you take all my confidence that I have with what I've been doing, and now we're going to belittle it. So I walked away from that appointment like, I'm so glad I'm helping myself. Yeah. No, I ain't even gonna lie, I was so upset. So upset. Okay, let me jump into this too. So yeah, I know some people are like, oh, you did circles and you did streaks. Yeah, I just like be applying it. Like, I know people probably think I have like some crazy technique, and some people like, they'll be like on YouTube, like, don't ever do this, or like, don't ever do that. Okay, well, this is what I'm doing, and this is what it is. I also don't have a lot of product on my eyebrows, so like, if you see me doing this whole jazz number, it's because, like I said, it's gonna be a light look today, even though I'm doing a full face foundation, and I'm gonna be doing concealer, and because I do get a lot of questions about like, how do I do that? So anyways, left that situation just not happy. Actually really upset. I felt really defeated, to be honest. Man, it really took a lot for me to just completely not give up, like trying or like continuing my journey. So she then tells me that the medication that my primary care physician had been telling me was completely wrong, that I was taking it incorrectly. And so then she changed like everything I was doing that day. So it's not like we weaned myself off of what I was already taking. We just immediately said, boop, boop, here's the switch. So can't do that. You know, there's a transitional thing, especially if like you're just, you know, if you're not in a right mindset of having like stability, or you've been taking it for a while, like, yeah, it just was not a good time for me whatsoever. And the story is about to get really interesting, so I hope you're ready for it. My favorite concealer right now, or probably forever unless I find a different one, it is Jeffree Star. So there's supposed to be like a little cute like star up here, but Oh, here. It's supposed to look like this, except like a full star. But I am like not the most delicate hand. Like I'm just kind of like blah, 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 blah. So it broke, but that doesn't mean the concealer still doesn't work. So this shade is in C8, and I actually use a beauty blender when I do my concealer. Please don't judge my sponge because she's pretty dirty. So we will bloop, 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 bloop. So anyway, so I'm pretty sure around this time too, so I had been working from home, and then we had to start working back in the office. Oh yeah, let me touch on that. When you're doing your concealer underneath your eyes, try not to drag out, push more up and look up to try to continue to get that in your under eye. You really want to try to beat this in, or you'll have eye creases, like bad eye creases. Like I have eye creases, and like that's just how my eye was made. Like my skin was made that way, and I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it. And then I also try to cut up at the corner of my eye to try to make this area more light, so it looks like you're pulling. So that's kind of important to this whole process. Okay, yeah, so during COVID, I was able to work from home while I was actually going through this mental health journey, and trying these medications and doing therapy, and I was in my own atmosphere. Like I got to control everything in my life, you know, like, oh my God, it was the best thing for me. Like my house was so clean. I was in like this great routine. And then guess what? It's time to switch it up. It's time to go back to the office. And I was like, oh shit. It really, I don't know, like mentally for me, and I'm sure a bunch of y'all have also dealt with that, especially right now. Like you were so used to being at home, and then like you either had to go back to work, or it was time for you to go out into the world, and you're just sitting there like, I can't control anything. And at the time, obviously, it was just so, you know, it was still new, so crazy. Because that's before me, because I was working back at the office when I saw my psychiatrist. So this was, you know, that time of that transitional period of having to go back to work for me was insane. I was so scared, so depressed. I was on edge. Like I had so much anxiety. And it's nothing for on my work. I mean, that was just how I was. I was going from a controlled environment where I had control of everything to now I'm back into the world where anything can happen. Huge shock. So after, after, you know, you do your concealer under your eyes, I always bake. I use a different sponge, but I should go in, and we are baking. It's okay to, you definitely want like a lot of, I mean, I use a crap ton of powder when I'm baking. So obviously I want it to look good. I think there is a point where if you use too light of a shade under your under eye and your powder's too white, then you will have the crazy ghost eye underneath your pictures. I've experienced that, and like, I hated it. And I really feel for people that have that ghost under eye in pictures. Also, I guess I should go into what powder I am using. This is another BoxyCharm. So it is called Pretty Vulgar. The powder realm, it is 147 matte about it. Some of these names that these like makeup people, like these makeup companies come up with, I'm like, yes, you're so punty. Okay, so now I'm like a reverse raccoon burglar. Yes, I said that. Yes, I did. Okay. So already going back, I called out like we did a half a day at the office, I'm pretty sure. And then like the next day I completely called out because I just wasn't ready. And I tried to get ready. I really did. And I sat in my bathroom floor and cried and then just called out. So, well, that was a good time. Okay, let me go ahead and also talk about this zit. That's a scab. And honestly, that's not going away. And honestly, it's probably not the greatest idea that I'm actually putting all this makeup on it, because all I'm doing is clogging it up. But like, who cares? So some people actually will go in and do a dark line to make their chin and like your jaw a little bit more contoured. Me, I feel like I have like a natural shadow right there, so I like my contour to be darker here for me. So I also go in and I add the light color here for me. Now for you, it could be different. You really just need to look at your face in the mirror at all angles, and you just need to see your natural highlights and your natural shadows, because everybody's face is different. So I know I keep jumping back and forth to makeup and my my mental health, and I have to do this because I don't know, it's very overwhelming to like talk about mental health regardless. And then like I'm being so vulnerable and I'm just like opening up to y'all. Like, you don't even know what's about to come, like what's gonna come next in this story. I know, and I keep putting it off because I'm like, it's, I mean, definitely, I mean, whatever, you know, everybody's journey is different. So I'm just, whatever. Hey, I'm just being super vulnerable. Hope y'all are ready. So, this is actually a good thing to talk about too. Sorry, I just keep thinking about all these great things to not actually get to the big part. So, went back to work, and I was like, fine. Finally got over like being like, I don't want to do this. I was like, cool, routine. Still was skeptical, like, okay. I was like disinfecting everything, like crazy disinfecting. I will say my work was like, you know, they're still super awesome with the whole situation because COVID is not over. We are mandatory mask wearing. They have been so amazing. They have provided all PPE that we need as far as your mask, your hand sanitizer. They even went above and beyond and got our cleaning company to do deep cleans. So, you know, amazing. But at the beginning, when we all first came back to work, there is always going to be oh shit moments. And so we had a coworker that tested positive. So then, of course, we all then had to go get tested. So the whole time that I had been at home, one of my biggest fears was doing the COVID test, because obviously, you know, everything was so new, and you know, all you could see, and you just saw all these videos about people's noses like bleeding, and you know, I was like, no, I don't want that to ever happen to me. I'm so scared. Well, my fear became real that day. So we all got sent home, and we were all told to go get COVID testing. And that same day, I had a telehealth appointment with my primary care physician. And I kind of touched base on this part on my last video. But this is where she told me that we needed to increase my medication. And this was the day that I felt like one of the biggest failure moments that I could feel. Honestly, since I had started therapy and everything, was one, my medication wasn't working. I'm a failure. I'm broken. Two, one of my biggest fears that COVID was happening. Since COVID had been happening, I had to go get this test taken. And that was just like, woo! That was a terrible time for me. I think I touched on it in the last video on how I dissociated. I don't remember driving there. I don't remember driving back. But, you know, don't want to like harp on that too much, but that was definitely important. So we then, you know, had to quarantine at home for a little bit. Some other people in my office had then tested positive for it as well. So then, they had to get a negative test so they could come back in the office. And then the rest of us actually came back to the office. And then it was like everybody was definitely scared for sure. But we got through it and we're still getting through it and everything's going great. And I have nothing ill to say about my company. I mean, obviously something like that was going to happen. Everything was just so new and crazy. So then so I'm taking this cute little angly brush, bloop, bloop. I'm dipping it in the concealer. And then I'm actually going to go in and I'm going to go underneath, or not underneath, but I'm going to line out my eyebrow. And you don't want to use a lot of product here because you really don't want to get it into your eyebrow hair. You just really don't want to do that. I mean, you can, but then you get ugly, clunky looking colored, eyebrow hair, and we're trying to define them, not make you look creamy and clunky. We're fast forwarding, back to when I saw my psychiatrist. I also had another, oh shit, you're a failure moment. She wants to send you to a psych ward already, and she just met you. Well, that sent me, so the medication change, that sent me in more chemicals, added to my brain. My brain wasn't regulated. I also was cycling at this point. And when I say cycling, no, I do not mean riding a bike. I actually was coming out of a manic stage and going into a depression stage. So, y'all ready for this? It was a Friday night. I was feeling great. I had went and ran that day, ran a mile. I felt really good about my time. Come home. Yes, you're not supposed to drink. I do. Sometimes it's all about your limits. And I can't be it's okay to drink on your medication or having any, mental health disease. I'm sure somebody's gonna be like, no, don't do it at all. But okay, I wasn't there yet. So I had drank and it was just boom, bitch, we're sad. We are so sad. And I just couldn't stop crying. And all I could think about was just not being here and how much easier it would be if I wasn't here and I didn't have to feel anything anymore. So I came inside and that's all I could think about. I was obsessing about it. I, just wanted to end it all. I took all my medication and I put it in front of me on our coffee table, and I was talking out loud, and I was in this stage of, I want to do this, but I also didn't want to do it in a way, because, and this is, I say in a way I didn't want to, because I texted Brett, he was in the garage, and I gave myself in my head a time. I was if he doesn't respond or if he doesn't come inside within X amount of time, we're doing it. We're taking all these pills. We are going to swallow them all because we're done. We're done with this. We're done with life. That's how I felt. So Brett came inside before my time expired that I set for myself. I could not get the thought of doing it out of my head. And, I have thought about it before. I'm pretty sure, a lot of people think about that situation and you think it's the easiest. And, obviously, if you think about it, I'm not saying like it's okay, but like it is a normal thought that, you know, I think everybody's at least experienced once. But this time I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop fantasizing about it. And I had Brett call my cousin, or I called my cousin. Actually, I really don't remember who called my cousin, but she got called. She came to the house. She held me, and we decided I needed to go to the ER. She called around trying to figure out, you know, what was the best way to go about this. And she called this facility, and they said that I needed to be admitted to the ER. So, lucky for me, my cousin works at the hospital that I was admitted to, because during COVID, nobody's allowed to go back there with you. Thankfully for me, she was able to come back there because she had worked in the hospital and just got, you know, blessed with that situation. I know some people at that time, that's not the situation that they were blessed to have, and I'm so sorry that you had to do that alone, because I don't know like how I would have been if I didn't have her, because she was my saving grace in that hospital room. So I'm in an ER room, and I tell the guy how I'm feeling, like I'm bawling. No, this is before we even in the ER room, like in the room, I'm getting admitted, and I'm talking to him, and I'm bawling my eyes out, and they take all my things from me, and they hand me these like paper sack clothes. I can't even wear my real clothes. And then they're just like talking to me, and they just kind of take everything from me, my phone, and you know, my cousin's in the ER room with me, and I go from, I don't want to be here anymore, like crying, just bawling my eyes out. And they gave me a Valium, and they gave it to me, and then my God complex jumped in, and I went from bawling my eyes out to pacing back and forth in the hospital room. And I think I remember telling them, like, this Valium isn't gonna do anything to me, like, I've done drugs, like, serious, like, that might not be like exactly, but that's what I like remember, and I'm like pretty sure that's how the situation went. And I was just like bloop bloop bloop, like no, there was no telling me anything, and I was not going down. So my cousin, she gets them to bring me like a heated blanket, because you know they have the blanket warmers. She turned off the lights to my room, and she put on cartoons for me, because that's what I needed. If she was not there, like, I don't even know what would have happened, but she just knew exactly what my little heart wanted. You just need to calm down the inner child in me and throw on some cartoons. Yes. So I drifted off to sleep. Don't know what time it was. Don't know how long it took. Fell asleep. Woke up the next morning, confused. Drugged up, confused. Cousin's not there. Nobody has talked to me. They brought me breakfast, and I'm just still on like these drugs to keep me calmed down. I'm still crying. Like I woke up crying. This person brings me breakfast, and I'm like, what's going on? Who do I talk to? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Here's your breakfast. And I'm like, I don't want this breakfast. I don't want it. You know, I just want to know what's going on. And then I like remember coming out of my room and peeking my head around to the nurse's station and be like, hello, am I allowed to go pee? And they were like, yeah, you can go pee. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know. Like, I'm crying, and I'm like, you know, out of it. I'm in a daze. I don't even really remember where the bathroom is. And so then I went to the bathroom and came back to my room. And then, as I'm sitting there, just like, don't know what I'm supposed to do. Full anxiety going on, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. I get handcuffed by a sheriff.